everyone. It's good to see all of you guys. I didn't get to see you all of last week, so it's very good to see you. Hello, Isaac. Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you.
Good to see
Guys,
you too.
Isaac has taken the time out of his busy schedule to join us today. So thank you so much, Isaac.
Not a
Um,
problem.
do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Well, you already said my name is Isaac. I graduated class 2020 FLCC. Was there for a whole 2 years, and it was some of the best few moments of my life right there.
Awesome. Yeah, guys. And Isaac has a very special place in my heart because we actually worked together. What was it for about? So it was the year before we left. It was like the months leading up to when school got shut down, and then
hmm
the next year, right?
Yeah. So it was that whole stretch of time right there. I think we started working together in May 2019, and we didn't stop working together until June 2019. So
Yeah. Yes. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey to FLCC, kind of how you ended up at FLCC?
yeah, well, I mean, there's not really much to say about it. I mean, I went to Marcus Whitman. I'm in North Carolina now, so I gotta kind of remember where I was at in the area. But went to Marcus Whitman Central School District, graduated in 2018. So then I ended up just going to FLCC because it was only 10 minutes away from school. I could commute. I mean, I could walk if I really wanted to, you know?
Yeah. And at the time, you were also living super close to campus, right?
That's right. But I didn't live on campus, so I did end up having to commute a bunch.
Okay, so this program is hosted by Extended Orientation, whose kind of goal is to kind of ease that transition into college by kind of alleviating some of those struggles and stressors that all new students have. So,
All
do
right.
you want to tell us about some of the challenges that you faced when you first came to FLCC?
Oh man. Well, I mean, just starting out, I mean, if I hadn't have gone around before classes started to kind of figure out where all of my classes were, like where I had to go, I would have struggled there. But my main personal struggle, starting fresh was that, like I said, my high school was only 10 minutes away. So I wasn't the only one that was smart enough to be like, I'm gonna just go to FLCC, So those first 2 semesters there, my first year, really it felt like high school 2.0, until I had to learn. I was like, we got to grow up eventually.
Yeah, so a lot of kids from your high school wound up going to
Oh yeah,
FLCC.
oh yeah. About 78% of the class. I think we were
Wow.
145. So, yeah, uh, I'm not a mathematician by any means, but I believe that's around 100 students.
That's a lot of students. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm sure when you started FLCC, did it kind of feel like you were in that same friends bubble, and then you had to kind of take the step to branch out and meet new people?
Definitely. Well, I've never had trouble meeting people, in my
Yeah.
life. I mean, my best friend that I, still chat with to this day, came from the extended orientation program. You know, we had the guides kind of showing us around, and we just walked together. And now we're still talking, like nothing's ever changed. So,
Yeah. So when do you feel like things really just turned around for you and they stopped? feeling so much like high school?
Honestly, when I joined Student Corp, uh, that was the big kind of turnaround for me and all the opportunities that brought on. Uh, so are you guys new students or are you guys like orientation leaders?
Yeah, so these are returning students.
Returning students. Okay.
This is
Already.
actually my third year.
There you go. So y'all already know what I'm talking about. That's what's up. Um, but yeah, I mean, Student Corp, is the kind of like organization, subsidiary nonprofit thing that funds, your guys's, kind of like extracurricular, activities, uh, they work together, allocate a bunch of funds and, make sure that they're always contributing, you know, to the best FLCC experience that y'all can have. And when I stepped into that role and I started working with Mary, that's kind of where, it started to turn around for me a little bit, when it started feeling less like high school and more like, I'm trying to become a young professional, really.
Yeah, yeah, because don't get it twisted, guys. It's when you're in student corp, it's not like you're a student anymore. It's like a real job. So,
Really is.
yeah, it's really great experience. Um, so do you want to tell us about some of the highlights of your time at FLCC?
Oh man, there's so many. um, I think first and foremost, I ended up doing a podcast that I'm still continuing to this day, uh, with the same guy that I met in the extended orientation program. So we're going 2 years strong on this podcast, and it all started from just shaking somebody's hand, saying, "Hey, I'm Isaac. What's going on?" I got the podcast. I made a little kind of group of friends, I guess, during my time, who all wanted to branch out and kind of, explore their creative routes. So now we're all together and we're writing a book, which is great. So we got the podcast, we got the book, specifically during my time at FLCC. When I was the director, diversity, equity and inclusion, that's our thing. Uh, we ended up doing uh, several diversity events. I think it was upwards of 15 kind of events. It was basically like two every month, I think, along with a bunch of, extras going down the line. Uh, and I think, oh man, I'm trying to remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we ended up drafting kind of like a resolution to fund a health and wellness center that's going to get built kind of attached to the college that's up there. My team had a hand in that, and together with a bunch of the other teams that we worked with, we raised over like $1.8 million, I think, for that project. So if I just had to name a few, I think those would be definitely some highlights. I did esports. I coached Call of Duty. I had a hand in getting esports off the ground because my first year when I started, it was just, some kids that wanted to play competitively. And by the end, by the time we were done, I personally was coaching around 20 students who all wanted to learn how to play Call of Duty. So that was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so what's one thing that you learned about yourself while you were a student?
If I had to sum it all up, I think it would have to do with finding a voice, you know? I mean, in my personal life, growing up, you know, um, it was basically, speak when spoken to, do as I say, not as I do. you know? So when you grow up with that mentality, it's really hard, you know, when you're out on your own, you know, to be able to speak up for yourself a little bit. But that's what FLCC, you know, helped me do. You know, it helped me find a voice. You know, it helped me, you know, do all of the accomplishments that I just stated before. Um, it was just all, you know, kind of ascending that ladder, you know, from high school to young professional.
Yeah. So, big adulthood, learning how to be an adult, learning how to
That's
work.
right.
Yeah. Um, so if you had to choose, what was the best part about going to FLCC? Was it the teachers? Was it, the extracurriculars?
I think it was the definitely the professors. Um, everybody, you know, is so down to earth there that I mean, I was literally able to like walk up to my professor who came to me and was like, Isaac, I see that you're slacking a little bit. You know, what's going on, man? And I looked at him and I was just like, I learned this already. And I told him, you know, about the fatigue that I was feeling, especially because around that time we had all been sent home because of COVID. And he looked at me and he was like, Isaac, my dude, you don't got to worry about it. All right. You know, he completely was totally empathetic. He understood, you know, my situation, and we were able to work something out, you know, that affected, you know, my personal grades, you know, so that I was still able to graduate, uh, which was, you know, super dope of him. But like that's just an example because like everybody there is nice, you know. I felt like I could talk to my professors about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I've heard from so many people, which makes me so happy that people are just really nice. Um, so why don't you tell us a little bit about life after FLCC?
Well, I really wanted to work at FLCC. It was very sad when COVID came around and I was unable to secure any kind of employment. So couple months passed and I was kind of, you know, just doing what I was doing, you know, in everyday life, you know. You know, took graduation photos. I, you know, had the cookout, had the, you know, graduation party and everything. And few months after my grandma passed, and she was the reason, you know, why I was in New York anyway. You know, she's, you know, part of the reason that I decided to stay so close to the high school, stay so close to FLCC. So when she passed, I was like, well, you know, I asked for one more time. I was like, are you guys ready for employment? And y'all were like, not yet, not yet. So I was like, all right. And I made a jump and I moved to North Carolina, where I'm at now currently. No snow on the ground outside, sun is shining. It's pretty
So
great.
nice.
And I work as a banker now. So, you know, I guess they're willing to hand you money when you're constantly counting it all day, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, my dog's barking. Always happens at the most inconvenient times when my dog starts barking. But yeah. So how's North Carolina treating you?
It's great. I love it. I didn't think I was going to. When I got out the car, when I first, you know, stepped out, it was I had just done a whole day of driving with me and my sister, so it was about 12 hours, and I got out, and let me tell you, I almost got back in and drove back up because it was hot. Okay, it was very hot. But so far with the winter season and everything, it's calmed down. You know, you see, I ain't in no sweater or anything. I'm able to just walk outside in a polo.
I'm in my thickest sweater.
Yep, yep. So other than that, you know, it was just a matter of moving down here. You know, finding a job and you know, prevailing my own path. I'm still hoping one day I'll be able to work. I wanna be working next to Mary, doing more diversity stuff because that was my niche right there.
Yeah, it really, you definitely hit your stride there when when we were working together. Um, so looking back, what do you think FLCC gave you? You know, other than in education, obviously. You described some friends. Like, what do you think is like a big standout thing that FLCC gave you?
I think FLCC gave me a path for development, you know, that expanded away from, the traditional, I got my degree, I did all this, I did all these wonderful things. Well, while I was doing that, while I was paving my way, I was also, you know, learning the systematics behind, the success of the team, So when I go to, do a future project, say we finish writing the book and we're getting ready to write a sequel, well, I know how to go about that now because I've had all of this experience working with a team, all of this, development strategies. I've got it down. So once you get those building blocks kind of set in stone, you can really achieve anything that you put your mind to. You just got to decide that you want to do it.
Yeah, well, let me know when your book comes out because I will be your first customer.
That's what's up. Yeah.
Um, so, if you could give one piece of advice to new students, I know there aren't any on, but there might be some that watch this when you make the recording of it. So, what's one piece of advice you would give to and students stepping on campus or in this COVID case logging on to their first class
Right.
at FLCC?
Uh don't let the computers, don't let the online learning, don't let it slow you down because it's easy to fall behind with the workload. Like I said, my with my specific learning experience, I took all of my hard classes like my first semester. Here's the fun fact, like 97% of students like would rather just, like go do something else. They are mortally terrified of public speaking, and I took it my first semester. So like I did all the hard stuff first. So when I got to the end, then I was, learning the basics, those strategies that I had already developed. That's why my teacher came to me and he was like, Isaac, I see you slowing down. What's going on? And I was like, I've done this for the past 2 years, man. Like I'm feeling the fatigue, and
Yeah.
it's easy to fall behind if you don't stay on top of things. So one day, hopefully, one day, I understand y'all are a little bit back on campus, but like not really. Things will go back to normal eventually, okay? But if it's not in the 2 years that you got here that you're spending at FLCC, just don't let the online learning, hold you back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still college and it's still the college experience, whether or not it's online or not, and it's still someone's chance to be in college. So I definitely recommend staying on top of things. And Isaac talked a lot about educationally you have to stay on top of things, but also in this whole new world, it's socially so easy to fall behind in a way and kind of fall off the map in a way. And even something like student corp, it's so much harder just to make meetings. We have to decide when everyone's free and because we're never all together in one room. And it can be hard to be involved, to have a social life, to be motivated to meet new people and try new things, but it's you only get one college experience.
That's right.
Yeah.
You only get
So,
one.
yeah. So, thank you so much, Isaac, for taking the time to kind of just tell us a little bit about your experience at FLCC.
No
Hopefully,
problem.
someone, sees themselves in you and is just like, yeah, like that's the inspiration I need.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you so much. And I think I can say from everyone, thank you so much. It was really interesting and so good to hear from you. I know that just I selfishly wanted to hear from you, Isaac, and had to invite you because I haven't